God. Oh my. Oh my God. God.
Every day he would tell me, "Dad, I love you. Dad, I appreciate you." Every night, every morning. Every night, every morning, that boy would tell me he loved me.
I believe that if you guys ever have a birthday party, just have a birthday party indoors. I threw a birthday party for my little daughter. She actually turned 2, and I just wanted all my family to come together, and everybody's getting together around and just start cutting the cake, and all we heard was gunshots, and everybody just fell to the ground. It was just unexpected.
This is MB and Nell, an 18-year-old Filipino-American rapper from Stockton, California, who would be shot and wounded at a 2-year-old child's birthday party on November 29, 2025. And 4 people would be killed that evening, including 3 children aged 8, 9, and 14 years old. But before we get to that horrific evening, let me take you back to where this all started, because what happened that night was not random violence. It was the fruit of years of bitter gang rivalries and rap beefs that would spill innocent blood. MB and Nell, whose real name is Jonell Dongon, grew up in the rough neighborhoods of South Stockton, surrounded by older cousins who were affiliated with Crip gangs. He would eventually become associated with a group called the Muddy Boys Crips, a multi-ethnic gang alliance that included Black and Asian members who emphasized brotherhood from what they called coming up from the mud together. By 2016, MB Nell had started building a music career, releasing tracks that gained millions of streams and established him as a rising voice in Stockton's underground rap scene. His album Born to Win, released in 2020, showcased his talent and ambition. But as his star rose, so did the tensions between different gang factions in Stockton. The city was divided into territories, with South Stockton groups like the Muddy Boys and their allies the Fly Boys facing off against North and Southeast Stockton rivals, particularly a crew known as EBK, which stands for Everybody Kill Us. What made the Stockton situation particularly volatile was how rap music became the battlefield for these gang conflicts. Artists from different sides would release diss tracks targeting their rivals, and these songs would go viral on platforms like TikTok, reaching audiences who had no idea of the real-world violence underlying the lyrics. And perhaps most controversially, these disses often targeted people who were already dead, mocking deceased rivals in lyrics that their friends and family members would hear online. In the years leading up to 2025, Stockton had seen collaboration between artists who would later become bitter enemies. In 2020, rappers from different crews came together on tracks like Blue Strips and Starting Lineup. MB and Nell recorded songs alongside artists like EBK Young Jock and Young Slow B, tracks that focused on money and lifestyle without any hints of the conflicts to come.
This blue bills, baby. I want them blue strips, new shit, baby. I'm exclusive, Rucci, baby. On my new whip, blue cheese, baby.
The fracture began around 2021 when a Fly Boys member named Jay Jonah was shot and killed at the intersection of 7th Street and Nightingale. EBK J Bo, one of the most prominent rappers associated with the crew, released a track called Casualty featuring Lil Ride, where he appeared to take credit for the murder, with lyrics that said Mr. Fly Case and 17 I have been on them, and references to mixing Jonah with a black, implying involvement in the killing. That track ignited a war that would claim multiple lives over the next several years. In August of 2022, Young Slow B, an EBK-affiliated rapper from Southeast Stockton, was ambushed and killed in the nearby city of Manteca. The murder involved a black Mercedes and remains officially unsolved to this day. Young Slow B had been one of the artists who collaborated with MB and Nell before the beef erupted, and his death marked a significant escalation in the violence. What happened next would become one of the most controversial aspects of this entire story. After Young Slow B was killed, MB and Nell released an unreleased alternate version of a track called Spin, where he mocked the dead rapper. The lyrics reference Young Slow Feet, a play on Slow B's name, and boasted about violence against him and other rivals. Dissing someone who had been murdered was seen as crossing a line, even in the brutal world of gang rap, but MB and Nell continued to taunt his deceased rival in multiple tracks. The practice of dissing dead ops, as it is called in street culture, became a recurring theme in the Stockton War, with both sides mocking each other's fallen members in songs that would rack up hundreds of thousands of views online. The EBK crew responded with their own diss tracks. EBK J-Bo released songs honoring young Slow B while attacking MBNL and his associates. One track, literally titled MBNL Diss, featured raw taunts about street credibility and alliances. Another song called Fly K targeted the Fly Boys and Muddy Boys crews, questioning whether they had really retaliated for their losses. The back-and-forth disses created a cycle where every insult demanded a response, and every response escalated the tension further. By 2020, MBNL had already survived one serious attempt on his life. A man named TC Lowe, whose real name is Lawrence Carolino, allegedly tried to shoot at MBNL 22 times in an ambush. MBNL survived, but TC Lowe was arrested. That same year, MBNL was also caught up in a major police operation called Operation Kryptonite, where law enforcement targeted the Asian Boys, Muddy Boys Crips, and allied gang sets, seizing drugs, cash, and firearms and making 34 arrests. MBNL was among those arrested, further strengthening his ties to the gang world even as he tried to build his music career. In March of 2023, another Fly Boys rapper named J Black was shot and killed, with an EBK member called Lil Play reportedly implicated. Then in April of 2024, EBK Osama, one of the founder members of the EBK crew, was shot dead in what some sources suggested might have been a setup and from within his own circle. Another key figure in this story is a rapper who goes by multiple names, Flyboy Dowie, also known as Dowie3Z or Nano. He was affiliated with the Fly Boys Crips and had his own history with EBK. Nano had actually been friends with EBK J-Bo before the beef, but street politics turned them into enemies. His lyrics became increasingly callous, with tracks like Fly K including boasts about violence that seemed to show no regard for consequences. In one particularly chilling line that would be scrutinized after the events of November 2025, his lyrics reference going through the 8, with some interpreting this as a reference to indiscriminate shooting. The irony of those lyrics would become devastatingly true. By the fall of 2025, MBNL had relocated from Stockton proper to the outskirts of Sacramento, trying to distance himself from the constant threats while still maintaining his music career. His father would later confirm that MBNL lived in fear, knowing that there were people actively hunting him because of the ongoing beef. Despite the danger, he still made appearances in Stockton to see family and friends, always aware that he could be targeted at any moment. On November 29, 2025, a birthday party was planned at a venue called Monkey Space, a banquet hall located on the 1900 block of Lucille Avenue near Thornton Road in Stockton. The party was for a 2-year-old girl, with about 100 people invited, including extended family members, friends, and their children. The atmosphere was joyful and celebratory, with decorations, cake, and families coming together for what should have been a happy milestone. Some reports suggest she may have been MBNL's cousin's daughter, while others indicate she could have been the daughter of Flyboy Dowie. What is clear is that both MBNL and Nana were at the event, and according to multiple sources, they were the intended targets of what was about to happen. Around 6 o'clock in the evening, as families were gathered inside the banquet hall and children were playing, multiple gunmen arrived and opened fire.
Breaking now on Eyewitness News at 11. New images tonight show a large police response after a mass shooting at a banquet hall in Stockton. 4 people are dead tonight, 10 more, including children, are left injured.
Witnesses reported hearing several rounds fired in bursts, with shots coming from both inside the venue and from outside. The chaos was immediate and absolute. People dove to the ground, tried to shield their children, and scrambled for any cover they could find. When the shooting finally stopped, the scene inside Monkey Space was one of unimaginable horror. 4 people had been killed: an 8-year-old child, a 9-year-old child, a 14-year-old named Amari Peterson, and a 21-year-old man named Susano Archuleta, though some reports listed his age as 22 or 30. The victims were family members and friends who had come to celebrate a child's birthday and instead became casualties in a gang war they probably knew nothing about. But the death toll only told part of the story. Between 10 and 15 other people were wounded in the attack, many of them children who required immediate hospitalization.
I just want to say I'm sorry to all the mothers out there that lost their kids at my birthday party. So it's my daughter's niece. Both his nieces passed away. My sister actually got shot. My cousin got shot. My son's friend got shot. My 3 of my friends got shot. My friend's baby dad got shot and got killed. Yes, I work for the AAA Whole Life Center. I work with the youth, and that's why it's really hurting me because I see youth all day. I see kids all day. I'm a mother of 3. So for me to see kids on the floor and just bleeding and I can't help them, and I help people that I help the youth at my job.
Well, Laura, many tears were shed tonight as I sat with the family, listened to them tell me that they are both hurt and saddened and angry about all of this. And that is because all of the people who were shot here, they're all family members and close friends who will never get to go home ever again.
They were celebrating life. As they celebrated life, someone came in and took, robbed, destroyed families.
What was supposed to be a joyful celebration for a 2-year-old's birthday party Saturday afternoon quickly turned to terror when someone came into this building in Stockton and fired several shots.
All I heard was gunshots. I didn't see anything. I just fell to the ground with my baby. I tried to hide behind the jumper. That's all I remember.
Patrice Williams was hosting her daughter's birthday, surrounded by mostly family and some friends. She says the shooting happened as they were preparing to cut the cake and end the party. Her grandmother, Teresa Spivey, says she threw the cake table down as soon as she heard the shots and used it as a shield.
All I seen was kids dropping. Somebody fell on the side of me and they was hit. I looked up and I see my granddaughter. I ran and got her, and I just started throwing kids in the back room, putting them up under the table. And I just seen the other kids just dropping to the ground, bleeding.
Spivey's sister, Bernice Bass, arrived at the horrific scene shortly after. She said she could see people carrying out children and people laying on the ground. The family shared this video from inside the building, taken when the family visited the scene the following day.
And the ones that lost their children, I am so sorry. I have 8 of my own. And when I woke up this morning knowing it was Monday morning, you had to get up and get your babies dressed for school. It's 4 parents, sets of parents out there. Couldn't get up, wake their baby up.
One of the deceased children, 14-year-old Amari Peterson, had been standing near Embianel when the shooting started. His father would later tell media outlets that the gunman appeared to be specifically aiming for Embianel, and his son was caught in the crossfire. The shooters had come to that birthday party with the intention of killing Embianel and possibly Nano, and they were willing to spray bullets into a crowd of families and children to accomplish their mission. Embianel himself was hit during the attack, but sustained injuries that were not life-threatening. He managed to escape the scene and immediately went into hiding, relocating to an area on the outskirts of Sacramento. His father confirmed to reporters that Embianel lived in fear, knowing that whoever had organized this attack would likely try again if they learned he had survived. Law enforcement responded in force, with the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office, Stockton Police Department, and eventually the FBI all becoming involved in the investigation. Authorities quickly classified the shooting as a potentially targeted assault, suggesting that it was not a random act of violence, but rather a planned attack on specific individuals. Despite the scale of the investigation, no arrests were made in the immediate aftermath.
So our investigative team is pursuing all possibilities right now. So it may be 1, it may be 2. Those are numbers that they are currently investigating.
So it could be 1 or 2, but we're not looking for like a group.
They're pursuing all possibilities.
Okay.
But no suspect in custody?
There's no suspect in custody at this time.
The community's reaction was one of profound grief and outrage. Vigils were organized within days of the shooting, with hundreds of Stockton residents coming together to pray for the victims and their families.
Today, we come together with heavy hearts for our city of Stockton. We lift up every family, every friend, and everyone to acknowledge the pain of losing 4 precious lives. And we pray for the 10 others who suffered injuries. Lord, hear our heartbeats. When the grief is too deep, beat for us. When the fear rise, beat with us.
Religious leaders from multiple churches led prayers, asking for healing, justice, and an end to the cycle of violence that had claimed so many young lives. Community leaders and activists were vocal in their demands for action. Pastor Pam Houston spoke at one of the vigils, describing how she had been celebrating her grandmother's 90th birthday in Texas when she received news of the shooting.
No family deserves to endure such trauma, loss, or senseless violence.
Other speakers echoed this call for community cooperation with law enforcement. One particularly powerful statement came from a community leader who demanded that people come forward with information, rejecting the code of silence that often protects shooters in gang-related crimes. The message was clear.
These animals walked in and shot children at a children's birthday party. And none of us should stand for that. And so if you know anything about this, you have to come forward and tell us what you know.
Whatever loyalty or fear might keep witnesses quiet, the killing of children at a birthday party crossed the line that could not be tolerated. Former Stockton Mayor Michael Tubbs also spoke out about the shooting, revealing that he personally knew someone who had been shot at the party.
That person has no gang affiliation, was there as a friend of the family celebrating a beautiful milestone, a child got 1 year older.
Tubbs says that person is still in a state of shock after almost losing their life.
Luckily, that person survived, but that person now has to live with the trauma of seeing a massacre at a baby's birthday party in their hometown.
As investigators worked to piece together what happened and why, attention naturally turned to the broader context of the Stockton War and the role that rap music had played in escalating tensions. The practice of dissing dead rivals had created a culture where violence was not only normalized, but celebrated. Young men on both sides of the conflict had grown up watching their friends and family members die, and instead of seeking peace, they had turned to music as a way to mock their enemies and provoke further retaliation. In the past, gang shootings in Stockton typically happened on street corners, at parties where gang members gathered, or in other settings where the targets were isolated. The decision to attack MBNL at a 2-year-old birthday party suggested that there were no longer any boundaries, no sacred spaces that would be respected.
They were coming together as a family, having a time to enjoy. And
are the suspects members of the family?
We do not have any identifying suspect information to be released at this time. All of that is being investigated.
Do you have any idea how many people were at this event? How many family members, approximately?
We have been told that the number is in the hundreds.
Any sense that it was gang involved?
We are pursuing all possibilities at this time.
Can you just describe the scene that people are seeing? Because, initial reports were that it was, in and around that event, banquet hall, that's kind of in that complex. But then we're seeing a ton of activity between where we stand and the O'Reilly Auto Parts in the scene, and then a ton of evidence placards, and then multiple vehicles that have obvious damage and are being gone through right now. So can you just describe just the vicinity of the scene?
Yeah, you're off of Thornton Road. You have a cluster of businesses, residential areas. You have obviously the banquet hall. So you have this area that's very a cluster of, like I said, businesses and the banquet hall. So they're going to be investigating all areas.
If you were on the hit list, you could be targeted anywhere, regardless of who else might be around you. The broader statistics about Stockton paint a grim picture of a city struggling with endemic violence. Stockton has consistently ranked among California's most dangerous cities, with violent crime rates that exceed the national average. The city has over 100 active gang sets, with approximately 5,000 members, all competing for territory and respect in a place where poverty affects more than 22% of the population. Law enforcement has tried various approaches to combat the violence. First, Operation Kryptonite in 2020. 2 years later, Operation Hybrid Havoc led to 90 arrests and the confiscation of 58 guns. These operations temporarily disrupted gang activities, but they did not address the underlying issues of poverty, lack of opportunity, and the culture of retaliation that drives young men into gangs in the first place. As of the days following the shooting, MBNL remained in hiding, presumably surrounded by security and afraid to venture out in public. His music career, which had shown so much promise, now seemed overshadowed by the violence that had followed him. Flyboy Doey, the other apparent target, had also gone to ground, avoiding public appearances. The families of the 4 people killed were left to mourn and to grapple with the randomness of losing loved ones to a conflict they may not have even understood. The mother who threw the birthday party for her 2-year-old daughter was left with survivor's guilt and trauma that will likely last a lifetime. She watched children bleed on the floor at her daughter's party, unable to help them despite her background working with youth. She issued a plea to other parents, urging them to keep birthday parties indoors and to be careful about being in public with their children, a heartbreaking acknowledgement that nowhere truly feels safe anymore. But in all honesty, will that really solve the overgrown and unresolved gang problem? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.